welcome to you or wherever you may be watching. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Akimbaloye in Abuja. Let's begin the conversation tonight on the program by letting you know what happened today in Ilorin. The former governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, has been undergoing grilling at the Ilorin office of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC. The immediate past governor of Ekiti State is being quizzed by operatives of the EFCC, and sources disclosed that the ex-governor arrived at Ilorin Zonal Command of the commission at about 10 a.m. today. He's been quizzed by a team of investigators on allegations of misappropriation of funds during his tenure to the tune of about 4 billion naira. And for the first time since assuming office on Monday, President Bola Tinubu has met with service chiefs, and he has demanded the security agencies to strengthen coordination and not work at cross purposes. At the end of the meeting, he disclosed his own philosophy towards dealing with security issues in the country, which is adoption of contemporary security measures to advance the country's security functions. The president also mandated the security agencies to develop a blueprint to deal with the issue of crude oil theft, indicating that the changes to meet the requirements of the changing times.
He has made it very, very clear that all the security agencies must comply with the demands of coordination, with the demands of frequent consultations, and also timely reports which must be acted on. He's going to embark on a lot of reforms in terms of our security architecture. He's going to take a closer look at our misfortunes in the maritime domain, focusing particularly on the issues of oil theft. That he is not going to tolerate. Wherever the problem is coming from, it must be crushed as soon as possible. He's already mandated the security agencies to come up with a blueprint.
He also got a mandate from him as to how he wants the security disposition across the country to be. And so we have left Mr. President fired with that mandate, and to realign our interventions to fit the expectations, not just of Nigerians, of course, with the mandate that Mr. President has given to us. Change is a constant. So all the strategies that we have applied hitherto, we will realign them, we'll reinvent them to be able to meet the expectations of the moment. And that's precisely what we will do.
Well, those are some of the conversations that come out of the presidential bill. A lot of activities there also. And there are also news coming in when a colleague of mine approached the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femda Jabiamila, today, congratulating him about stories that he has emerged as the Chief of Staff. Well, he responded, well, there are no news just yet, official news, as to any appointment from the presidency. Tonight, we shall be engaging the Group CEO of the NNPC Limited, Mr. Melekiari, and he will be giving us explanations as to the sudden change in the price of fuel in the country, which has changed a lot of things. So a lot of people are asking the question, is there still subsidy? Is subsidy gone on the day that the president said it on Monday? Or will he still comply with the legal templates that subsidy should go at the end of this month, June? And by 1st of July, we enter into a new regime altogether. Why the change in price? Why the queues that we're seeing altogether again? We'll be getting a lot of explanation, and more questions will be asked tonight on the program. So stick around with me, everyone. But let me bring you up to speed with some of your political roundup stories.
The
The Presidential Election Petition Tribunal has told the Labour Party and its presidential candidate, Peter Obi, that they are exhibiting a lack of preparedness in the petition filed against the victory of President Bola Tinubu. At the resumed hearing, one of the senior lawyers in the petitioner's legal team, Emeka Okpoko, sought to tender electoral documents as exhibit before the court. The document, however, were said not to have been properly filed and scheduled before the court. Consequently, the court stepped down the hearing for 10 minutes and asked the legal team to refile the scheduled document in line with the provisions of the pre-hearing report. But after the court reconvened, the petitioner's legal team still seemed uncoordinated. Displeased, the five-man panel of justices led by Haruna Samani advised the petitioners to seek an adjournment to enable them properly arrange their documents. President Bola Tinubu today met with the Senate President Ahmed Lawan and Speaker of the House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila at the Aso Villa in Abuja. The private meeting occurred just after the president's meeting with the nation's security chiefs and heads of intelligence agencies, also at the State House. The speaker, in a brief chat with pressmen, expressed optimism that the 10th National Assembly will maintain a symbiotic relationship with the executive arm to optimize the functions of checks and balances.
A cordial relationship anywhere in the world between the legislature and the executive is supposed to be a symbiotic relationship. You don't have to be in gloves and boxing each other. No, that's not that.
President Tinubu has again met with the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, today at the State House in Abuja. This is the second time the president will be meeting with the anti-graft agency boss in 24 hours. The House of Representatives is asking the federal government to outrightly remove subsidies on all petroleum products. The House made the resolution after adopting the report of its ad hoc committee, which investigated the country's subsidy regime. However, the House also wants the federal government to immediately design measures and palliatives to cushion the effects of the subsidy removal for Nigerians. The Part State House of Assembly is calling on the governor of the state, Mr. Caleb Mutwang, to suspend all the local government chairmen and councillors across the 17 local government areas of the state for financial misconduct. The recommendation for the suspension came at plenary today in order to give room for the conclusion of investigations bordering on financial impropriety by the chairman. Lawmakers also accused the local government administrators of frustrating their efforts to perform their oversight functions and also refused to honor the invitation of the House to clarify the various financial misappropriation allegations leveled against them.
Thank you so much. You are now up to speed with some of your major political stories across the country. So let's get to our major conversation tonight, everyone. It is amazing the impact of just 3 words and how it has changed so many things. Subsidy is gone. Those were the words President Bola Tinubu said on Monday in his inaugural speech, and the ripples have been huge. Long queues are what we are now seeing, strong warnings from labor unions. We've started seeing some kind of protest in at least one state, and Nigerians are groaning in the aftermath of that policy. Well, is it a statement or a policy decision? What exactly are we facing? The NNPC Limited is a sole importer of fuel into Nigeria as of today and has come out to announce an increase in the price of PMS petrol. But Nigerians are left with so many questions on the new price regime and on untold hardship it has caused for daily living. So tonight, we're hoping to get some progressive and some very crucial conversation going on the program. So I'm being joined by the Group Chief Executive Officer of the NNPC Limited, Mr. Mele Kyari. Thank you so much indeed, Mr. Kyari, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, Shane, and good evening.
It must be good evening. It must be some very interesting past days for you. And perhaps let's get straight to it. First and foremost, let's clarify. Let's get some clarity from you. Legally speaking, a lot of people will imagine that the subsidy regime is over at the end of this month. That is as much as we know in the PIA. True?
No, not at all. By the provisions of the PIA, actually the subsidy regime vanished on the 17th of February 2022. The law said that 6 months after the enactment of the Petroleum Industry Act, petroleum product, particularly PMS, must be priced at market rates.
So since February of this year?
Absolutely. 2022, not this year.
Last year?
Yes, that means by law, the subsidy regime is gone by the 17th of February 2022. But of course, government can always decide to spend on its citizens in the manner that it wants. There are subsidies on bread, fertilizer, all kinds of things all over the world. So government can decide to spend. And government, in its wisdom, decided that there will be appropriation for subsidy in 2022 and also provision for subsidy up to the half of 2023. That means that provision is made, but the law said that price it at the market. So you can choose to spend your money, which is what government did, but you only spend money that you have shown. Government did not fund a subsidy because it didn't have the money to fund it.
All right, we'll take it one after the other. So where did these dates of June 3rd, the end of June, come from?
I think the general understanding that since there is a provision in the Appropriation Act, it means that there's a subsidy regime up to the end of the June. Technically correct, but budget is budget. You have to fund your budget. If you don't fund your budget, it doesn't exist.
So we look at, the understanding a lot of Nigerians have is that subsidy removal will be effected on 1st of July this year. And since there is a budgetary provision for it till the June ended, why the sudden change of the timeline?
The same answer, because you have a budget, you do not have to cash to back it, you are not paying for it. That means another institution will carry it. And what happened is that NNPC has been carrying this from its cash flow. Remember that NNPC is a private company now. It must pay taxes, royalties, just like any other company. And we're not designed to foot the subsidy bill. Subsidy bill is for the federation, and the federation didn't have the money to pay for it. That means technically, even when the provision was made in 2022, it should not have continued because obviously you don't have the money to pay for it.
How long has the federal government been owing?
Since the start of the end of the pricing.
Which was when?
Yeah, when they made the provision in the budget after 17th of February and they did not fund it, that means that technically government is not able to fund it since February 2022.
So since February 2022, who has been responsible for paying the subsidy?
NNPC Limited, on the back of its cash flow, taking money from our other operations, from our core businesses to foot the subsidy bill with the hope and belief that will be reimbursed. And that reimbursement is not forthcoming.
You said it's over 2 trillion now.
Yes,
that is accumulated, 40 billion every
accumulated. And what we did, and of course this explanation is very useful also, NNPC is supposed to pay taxes and royalties. So we held them back. Because we can't pay, you can't give me your money, and then you ask me to pay for it.
So federal government is owing NNPC, and NNPC is also owing Nigeria. Is that the true situation of things?
No, not federal
government. In royalties and in taxes. Federal, yeah. The federal government is supposed to pay for something. Go ahead, please.
There used to be a distinction between federal government and the federation in terms of the ownership of the old NNPC. This company, the NNPC Limited, is now owned by the federation. That's a distinction. That means whatever NNPC does is doing on behalf of the federation. So that's the distinction. Therefore, the federation is unable to settle its subsidy bill since the end of the subsidy regime that is brought into place by the law since February the 17th.
So since that time also, since that obligation of not meeting up the subsidy payment, NNPC too has not been able to meet its...
Yeah, we can. On top of that, there's still a balance of over 2.8 trillion naira. That's the point I'm making.
Interesting.
You hold back the fiscal obligations, you also have a deficit of 2.8 trillion naira.
So let's look at it this way. Now, you look at the jump in the price. As soon as the president made that announcement on Monday, there was a sudden reaction in the marketplace or in that regard. So there will be a question as to what happens to the 45 days of cushion of supply available of old product that is in store. And the question is, why are Nigerians paying for a new price for the old products?
Two distinct situations, very separate. Because once there's indication of change in price, which everyone knows that it's likely to be higher price. So two things happen. Consumers will rush to the station so that they can take advantage of the old prices and in anticipation that something will change the next day. So that's why you see motorists go back to the fuel station, instead of buying 10,000 naira fuel, you buy 20, 30,000 naira, with the hope that when the prices change the next day, that you would have taken advantage of it. And the other side of it is inventory management. Every trading company would hold back that inventory with the belief that when prices change, they can now sell at the new price. And that's nothing surprising, because if you don't do this because prices are going up, you know, this guy is not able to go back to the market after the change in the prices. So very understandable, taking advantage of inventory, and it happens. So you're not talking about companies now taking advantage of the price of the oil stock. It is natural. It happens in every commodity, even just as simple as onions. When they know that there's something that will affect price of onion the next month, everyone that has the oil stock will sell it at the highest price. It's very natural.
Is that not profiteering over and under the pains of Nigerians, the average people who will bear the brunt of these?
I think this is natural because it does happen. It may not be intentional, but obviously it's something that clearly happens under every circumstance.
Who is profiting from this now?
I don't think it's
profiting. Is it the market?
Yes, let me tell you. When you you have a cheap price in a product in your hand, and then you now sell it maybe 2-3 times the price of what you have purchased, but you are going to go back to the market. That means when you go back to the market to procure new supply, you are going to buy at the new price, but literally your gain will be clearly marginal, because for you to continue doing that business, you have to add money to buy in the next market. So it's really not something that is substantial, except for those who decide to quit, say, I'm done with this.
So usually the customers bear the brunt?
Yes, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, they'll have to buy higher price for the old commodity and in the new price. But the question now is, would this have any effect on other products aside of PMS, petrol?
No, all other products are actually deregulated. AGO or diesel, petrol is the only one that is in this situation now. AGO, the aviation fuel, and every other product, petroleum product, actually operating at market level.
What happened to the intervention of the CBN at the time where aviation fuel went up and CBN intervened at that point? It looked to me that there was some kind of intervention or some kind of subsidy that came in at that time.
I wouldn't know if it is a subsidy.
There was a jump in the price sometimes last year, where prices of flights increased at the time. CBN made some intervention. Was that kind of subsidy?
I don't think it's actually subsidy provision, because the key issue at that time was access to FX, foreign exchange, by marketing companies to import petroleum, the aviation fuel. And what CBN simply did is to provide those resources so that traders can go to the market and bring the product into the market. And I don't think it's any subsidy.
So the prices won't change for any of the products, diesel, kerosene, aviation fuel?
There's no impact of this current change.
So it's only on petrol?
Only on petrol.
Now, what would you say now, clarity on these fluctuations? Are Nigerians likely to pay even higher than this? Or lower than this?
Very unlikely, but potentially paying lower, because, remind you, petroleum is priced in the international market. So we have no control of the price of this commodity in the international market. What we have seen, as you see, there are gallops in prices. Every day you see it in the media, that the price of crude oil has gone up and come down. So the market fluctuates with that. But what this situation has brought is potentially some form of efficiency will come into the system, no doubt about it. What you don't have control is the price of this commodity in the international market. But there are many things you have control of. Your ability to get it to your station at the cheapest possible rate. And that's a factor of many things. Your ability to negotiate good contracts for your marine activity, your depot activities, all the way to the fuel station. And companies will compete in that space. And because they will compete in that space, you will definitely see, even on the basis of current prices, there will be some lowering of prices. It's very, very practical.
Do we have enough product
today
to sell?
I have 1.8 billion liters of petroleum motor spirit or premium motor spirit in our hands today. So that means that if you don't do anything, I will have sufficient fuel for the next 30 days in my hands. But of course, the way we supply is not this way. So we maintain this level of supply consistently. That means you will see arrival of products every day or every other day, so that you continue to maintain that level of safety.
Unless anything, extraordinary happens.
Except something extraordinary.
So we're not likely to see these queues go on for a long time? When are we likely to see these queues go away?
I don't see it staying beyond another day or two max.
So give us a confirmation or clarity on this fuel price. You did not mention the price that you have fixed it, but you said that the price has changed of PMS. What is the exact price? We see a list of prices across states. Is that from the NNPC?
Yes, you have seen a document in the space there. You know, every company does this, you know. It's really a marketing document. It's really not a price announcement document. Every company keeps this record, adjusts it appropriately on the basis of changing conditions in the market. So this is natural. Every company in this business does this. So what you have seen is just an internal company document. It finds its way into the internet. Not surprising.
It came from the NNPC?
Yeah, it is an NNPC document, but it was not intended to be an announcement. It is not an announcement because it can change the next day. It can go lower. When we see lower prices, we'll bring this down. That means that you have prices by location. Mind you, just as simple as in Abuja here, you know, when people supply AGO, just an example, supply AGO to homes, say in Maitama, you know, people don't want to, Maitama people don't want to go to a fuel station. So the truck driver brings it to your house. So you pay a premium on it. Probably you pay something higher than the man who agrees to go to the fuel station. Even between fuel stations, two fuel stations are aside, you will see customers having different prices in very many jurisdictions. And it will happen here. And this will be reflective of the efficiency of that owner of that fuel station, choices of the customer management systems, the comfort that they give to their customer, and so many things. You will see those prices. Even when companies put higher prices, you will see people driving in, say, look, we trust this. For instance, there are a number of fuel stations in this town that customers will go and queue up even though the prices are same across. A matter of trust, customer relations, and also long-term trust that some of these people have developed. So many things will come to play. The market will come to play. And once market comes to play, customers will have choices.
So by Monday, you're telling Nigerians tonight that these queues will go away?
I do not see it staying actually beyond Saturday.
What kind of, word of authority can you give us?
The authority first, you have supply. But the key trouble with PMS system is supply. So I have supply. There are over 810 million liters of petroleum, premium motor spirit or petrol in depots and in tanks and in fuel stations across the country. So you don't have problem of having trouble transferring those from marine into land. So you already have them on loan. That means you have supply on ground in your hands. Now, the second thing is that people panic, run to fuel stations to buy. And of course, those people will not go back now because they now know that there's certainty of pricing. They don't have to go back. When they go back to fuel station, the next day they're going to find fuel at a price that is normalized now. So they're not rushing to go and buy cheap petroleum motor spirit. That goes, and then of course the trading companies, the marketing companies that now have certainty that the market has come into effect. So whatever they are holding back, they know that when you sell, you have sufficient funds from your inventory costs for you to go back to the market. So this a real recirculation of product that is available, the market will come into play, and I don't see why this will last any longer. In the past, whenever you have those glitches of queues, you know, it's a different reason. It's not the pricing that caused it. Yes, very often it's actually distribution system problem, and we don't have these trucks, rain destroying our roads, and so many things, inability, strikes, and all this don't exist today. And therefore, normalcy that was actually a knee-jerk reaction will now come back into play.
So tell us for sure, you said there is this price fluctuations, and a lot of Nigerians don't even want to understand the English of these market forces, because that the price went up is annoying in the first place, and a lot of people know that the effect is going to be on the price of commodity, price of transportation, and in fact in a whole lot of things on their daily living. But you say that the price may go lower or may go higher.
It may go very likely to go lower.
Could we have a benchmark? Is it possible?
I can't speak about this now because I cannot estimate what the price will be tomorrow. But I have a sense of the numbers, and I believe that this price will come down.
So from state to state, why the difference?
Distance from source of supply, very simple reason that you can see those differences.
So averagely, we should be able to find cheaper at the NNPC, own filling station, and private filling station. Is that possible?
No, see, this is now market. You know, the transfer price at the marine today, that means when the bulk comes, we supply at the same price depending on the value of that cargo to every buyer from NNPC, including NNPC Retail Limited. Remember, NNPC Retail Limited is now a downstream company, the largest downstream company. It will buy at the same price with any other company. That means the NNPC Retail, our stations that you have, are beautiful stations, you agree with this, you know, across the country.
You're advertising.
Absolutely.
But I'll send you an invoice.
Yeah, not a problem at all.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah. You know, in our stations, that means that company must compete with the rest of the people you see around. That means, you know, you must make it the price cheapest that is possible. Nobody is subsidizing NNPC Retail. NNPC Retail must play in the market. They must get the cheapest truck that is possible. They must run their stations efficiently. They must be nice to their customers so that people can come back to you. Otherwise, competition will catch up with them. And I believe that the next filling station, it can be any name, you know, can actually sell lower than NNPC Retail.
Mr. Kyari, the fuel price increase announced by the NNPC was over 150%, from 185 per litre to over 500 naira per litre. Is this not too much of an increase at once? Are you concerned about the impact on the already impoverished Nigerians? Transportation costs have already gone up as high as 50% in some locations.
Yes, it is very correct that the difference between what was the price 3 days ago and today, yes, there's a distinction. So it's a higher price, no doubt about it. But now, could it have been any different? I think that's the proper question. Could it have been cheaper? No. The answer is, if you have to recover your full cost on the basis of the market, then it has to be the prices that you are seeing. The only way you can have lower prices or even a staggered process is for you to have subsidy. That means somebody has to take that difference. And that subsidy is the federation, and the federation doesn't have the money to provide for this. And therefore, what you are seeing is the market reflective cost, because the market, the institutions, or all of us Nigeria, who should have provided this subsidy for ourselves, don't have the money to do this. Just imagine families, you know, just as simple as this. You know, families go hungry, no breakfast, no lunch, no dinner. It should never happen, but it does happen. And why does it happen? Because you don't have the resources to find your food. And exactly this is what you are dealing with today. You don't have the resources to provide those subsidies. And therefore, the only thing you can do is to regulate your consumption, come to the prices that is in the market. You buy because you can't afford and you can't do anything different. I think this is really the distinction.
So for sure, no going back. That's what the president has told you on this subsidy.
No, see, president merely executed the provisions of the law. Let's not even take it to the president.
No, but he was the one.
I understand.
I mean, if he had not made that decision, there probably wouldn't have been any change.
Not at all. And not at all.
Would it have happened without the president?
It would have happened because NNPC will not be able to supply product into the country because our cash flow has been terribly diminished. We may probably likely lose the confidence of our suppliers. So we knew that this is impossible except there's some financing for it. And we don't see that line of sight. And therefore, what President really did is to reiterate the position of the law, the realities around our business, and that the very fact that this country doesn't have the money to do this. It's really not that, Mr. President.
Was it that NNPC was waiting for President Buhari to get out of office and, bail the cat, or, waiting for another government? Because he said at some point it would have happened. But this money, for the last 1 year or more, this debt has always been recurring. But you have kept quiet and left it off.
Not at all. Nothing to do with the coming of President Siwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu at all. Because these are the realities. We have kept this conversation on the table. We knew that we were coming to this situation. There were several attempts to bring this into effect, but we've never gotten to the point where it will be impossible for us to continue to supply. This is the distinction. You can manage situation because you know that you can afford it. But when you get to a point where you cannot afford it, then it becomes a different conversation.
So you have been pushed to the wall.
It's not really a wall, actually to the sea.
We're due for a break now. Nigerians feel that NNPC should have been softer in this increase in the jack in the price, being a government corporation. But ironically, it has one of the highest jump in price ever.
No, the reality is you are moving from a subsidy regime to a free market regime. That's the distinction.
And it's a very painful hike.
And I understand this. It's painful, but mind you, the subsidy conversation, the other part of it is that, except for some locations in the country, Lagos, Abuja, and a few places, the ordinary man has always paid price higher than the subsidized amount. And this is very understandable. Arbitrage, all kinds of fraud that happens, very little you can do, people taking advantage of the market. regulation can't even contain it. And the reality is that you just talk to people around the country, that there's nowhere PMS, petroleum motor spirit or petrol, is sold at 195 or 185. It doesn't exist except for some of these few locations that I've mentioned. And therefore, the ordinary man has been paying the cost of subsidy. Meanwhile, another part of it is also being expended on the marketing companies. So the advantage of this subsidy regime has actually been enjoyed by marketing companies and people who are proprietary around the land. So what this has done is to take away that value from those who are actually exploiting the ordinary man today back into the pocket of the government so that something different can be done.
So, Mr. Akari, I mean, apologies, my producer, because they're telling me I'm due for a break now. But the question I'm asking is that NNPC is a government corporation.
Yes, today it's a private company owned by the Federation that is expected to pay taxes and royalty, declare dividend to its shareholders.
No matter
so shareholders...
The property, is NNPC is it a property of the Nigerian?
The shareholders must decide that this company don't do any business, just sell petroleum and control price for me. And not only that, don't make profit, take your profit and go and pay subsidy.
Shouldn't so that NNPC have put some human angle, human face to this increase? This is incremental. This is huge, enormous.
You see, if NNPC must recover its cost and you sell at the market and there's no subsidy, there's very little difference you can do. But the challenge today, now, it's not just what NNPC can do. You can actually stagger it. You can say, look, okay, let's take this out in the next 6 months, 7 months, or 8 months. That's practical. But it still boils down to one fact, your ability to continue to provide this product to the country. And once your cash flow goes to negative, because you cannot supply anymore, and therefore what you're going to deal with is that you're going to have small supply for a large population at a price that is subsidized. And in reality, once you have that scarcity, the customers and the consumers are going to probably buy more than what you are seeing today.
Yeah. An average truck of petrol is about 33,000 liters, isn't it? My question is not as much.
No. It's not, it's 45,000.
It's 45,000, but my questions are not as much. But I still have so much more questions to ask. There's a lot of Nigerians are still wondering how they'll be able to get over and get through these very difficult times. We'll take a break, everyone. My conversation with Mr. Mele Kyari, the Group CEO of the NNPC Limited, on the program continues after now. Stay with us, everyone.
The Duchess International Hospital opened its doors in October 2021. The mission of the hospital is to reverse medical tourism. We take particular care here at the Duchess to bring together a combination of the brightest and the best locally, as well as Nigerians in the diaspora who are interested in returning to do very good work for the benefit of our patients here in this country.
The good thing is that we have all international expertise here, all international facilities here, international people working here. Everything is coming together in a space which was considered not great in terms of the availability of healthcare.
Access Bank, of course, has been able to provide us with a robust range of products and services that has enabled us to deliver that standard and quality of healthcare that is integral to our mission as an organization.
My people, you know, say election don't finish now. You don't elect president, elect governor, National Assembly members, State of Assembly members. But matter see the tribunal. Well, we have to move forward. First of all, the person where you send go office, it be like say you send a message. Suppose they check upon him, suppose they call him. You suppose they ask him, the money we have put for your hand, how you take the manager? Employment, opportunities, where you promise me for manifesto, you go do them, I be you no do them. Now here, budgets can make it simple for you. If you track government budget, how government takes spend money for your area from budget.org. You even fit track public projects, all the roads, the schools, the hospitals for your area, tracker.ng. You even fit on allocation for your state, for your local government, me.budget.org. Now, the matter in your hand. The person where you send go office, you supposed to make sure say they work for you. This message now from Budget.
New beginnings are always colorful. When we celebrate the start of life's journey, we marry in colors. With our proudly Nigerian Dulux paints, now available in any color. Express your world however you want it. Visit a Dulux Color Center to get any color instantly. Dulux, let's color.
Oga, that madam dey outside, she don dey come.
Daily activities comes with different challenges. In a bid to accomplish your daily task, malaria has a way of getting you into distress. P-Alaxin anti-malaria keeps you capable and ensures you deliver against all odds.
Madam.
I feel your face don't calm down. You feel like malaria no work.
Malaria don't run. Turn to P-Alaxin anti-malaria medicine.
I tell you.
Thank you. P-Alaxin, marketed by Greenlight Pharmaceuticals Limited. P-Alaxin defeats malaria.
You're heading home from work. In the busy traffic, your car breaks down. Car horns blast. Your car is pushed aside. You call for help. Phone battery blinks and dies. You take a cab. Few miles, tire bursts. What a day. Frustrated, sweating, and tired. Nearing home, darkness envelops the street. Wow, just one house is bubbling with life. Brilliant lights, loud music, smiling wife, all welcome you.
We alone have light?
Yes, it's JRB Solar Energy Systems, my anniversary present to us.
No matter how dark life is, the sun is gonna shine on everything you do. JRB solar inverters, batteries, solar panels, solar street lights, and more. Telephone 0906 752 1111. Email sales@jrbsolar.com. JRB, the sun is gonna shine on everything you do.
Gary, the group CEO of the NNPC Limited, has been speaking with us on the new subsidy removal announcement and the new price regime as soon as the President, Bola Tinubu, made the announcement on Monday. Thank you so much indeed, Mr. Kari.
Thank you so much, Sean.
There are those who believe that this subsidy is a racket in the hands of a few, trying to portray that it's to the benefit of the poor. But then it looks like that is not the real case. Is that it?
Yes, the other way of looking at it is that when you create subsidy, you will expect that it gets down to the person who should benefit from it. Remember that majority of Nigerians don't own cars, and this probably, the trickle effect of subsidy is that probably it eases transportation and that they're able to get back to their places of work, their homes, in the cheapest possible manner. Now, has that objective been achieved? I think this is very questionable because, for instance, if you look around the country today, in the last 2 to 3 years that we can all remember, there is no time in some states in the country today, and I'm sure Nigerians know this, in some states in the country, southeast, some of the border states, Borno, Yobe, Kano, Katsina, and all the way around the country, there is nowhere, in Kebbi State, and so on, all the way to people who are living on the other side of Ogun State and so on. There is nowhere you go to the fuel station and you buy petroleum motor spirit or petrol at the designated official price, which means that price is the price that has the subsidy factored into. And what happens is that, those value, those benefits are actually transferred into individuals who are running this business. And therefore, ab initio, even without this announcement or without this action that we have taken, their subsidy element is actually goes into the pockets of individuals. That's the reality of marketing companies and other people who are involved in the value chain. And therefore, for the ordinary man, in reality, in some of these locations, they're already paying this subsidy to individuals. And meanwhile, at the same time, government is providing this to the market at the regulated price. But it doesn't work. Now, when you even pull out that segment of our population now, it comes back to those within some jurisdiction where you're able to realize the actual price. And I can tell you, even in Abuja here, And that, you know, when you just go beyond Zuma Rock, just outskirts of the town, there's no fuel station that will sell PMS at the regulated price, except for perhaps, you know, NNPC. With all respect, you know, we are by law, by obligation, and some major marketing companies would definitely sell at the regulated price. I'm not saying everyone. There are good people even in this market who are selling at the regulated price, despite the very fact that, you know, many wrong things happen around them. But the reality is that these prices are limited to certain limited number of people. And those people are the elites of the society. Unfortunately, I'm one of them.
Who are these people?
Me and you.
How?
Yeah, everyone else. I can tell you why it is so. Because when you have people who own 3 to 4 cars, SUVs, escorts, and all forms that we all know, and that means that majority of these cars that we are fueling are actually people not using those cars for the purpose of transporting the mass of the people. They are also not using it to transport people to their workplaces. Mostly are business leaders, people who have resources, who have ability. The marginal group of people, particularly in the working class, they exist. Those who have to drive their cars to work and so on and so forth. It's a very, very marginal set of people who benefit from this. And this is very reflective in the consumption.
What is the percentage of these people in the population?
Yeah, because they're very minor. You know, they're insignificant. Maybe 10, 15% of the population taking value of 100%. That's really what's happening. So that's what you're dealing with. So, but now the effect, and that's very critical. The effect comes to the ordinary man because some of the transport means that you are seeing, for the ordinary people, are a very small number of them are actually driven by petrol. Kekena pips, and some of the small cars that you are seeing around. Yes, that's what affects the ordinary man. Other than that, majority of the fuel that comes on, unfortunately or unfortunately, those category of the vehicles are the ones that consume the least quantity of fuel.
I mean, there are a lot of controversies here. There are subsidy thieves, those who get money and never get the job done over the subsidy payment. There is also the controversy over our porous borders. And most of these subsidized products do not even stay in Nigerian soil. They go into neighboring country. There's the other controversy on the amount of petrol that we even consume. I mean, let me start by asking you, do we know officially how much of petrol that is consumed in Nigeria every day?
I think at the risk of being repetitive, I don't think there's any credible data on consumption, but there's credible data on evacuation from the depots. They are very distinct. So every truck that leaves every depot in this country is known, the truck number, the driver, the planned destination of that product. So it is not. So we have numbers around this, and those numbers is what we assume is our consumption, but we know that this may not be our consumption because we know that petroleum products are smuggled across the country. We know a number of wrong things may happen, even by marine means taken to other jurisdictions.
So we do not know how much of petrol we consume daily?
We know how much we supply. We know how much leaves the fuel depots. There's data on this. But when you say, is all of this consumed in the country, the answer is no. And the reason is very simple. You have an arbitrage environment. For instance, before this decision that we have made, you know, fuel sells for, say, 125 naira in Abuja. And now, just across your border, in very many, there's nowhere you have prices that is lower than 500 naira to the liter. So it doesn't exist. And therefore, when you take just an example so that you can appreciate really what we are doing and how we are actually subsidizing everybody else in West Africa, and I can tell you personal experience. I traveled to Sudan for a visit, and a Nigerian made me say, hey, gentlemen, I understand you work for NNPC. Can you help me have access to fuel? Because people are bringing fuel here to make money from it. That means the fuel in this country goes as far as the Sudan. And of course, for other countries, so of course, you can't even talk about it, you know, around us. They call it Nigerian fuel in many countries. And very many of these countries, and there's data to back it up, none of these countries around now import petroleum products. And you can do nothing about it because there's an arbitrage environment that we have created. You have 4,500 kilometers of land border. You know, you do not have all the resources to man this. And by the way, it's not manned by angels. I can tell you, this subsidy embargo or these issues that is created by this arbitrage that we have created, you know, it can compromise anything. You can't exclude anything. And of course, what you see, let me give you an example. When you take a a truck of PMS, 60,000 liters, from Lagos into Maiduguri, legitimately, the margin for the trader is about 300,000 naira. Imagine, you need that 300,000 naira to service your fuel station, pay your workers, and of course, if you're able to sell it in 1 week, then you have to come back and assuming you're able to do 3 or 4. That means you're only making 1 million from 4 trucks. That is going to cost you about 8 million naira to buy it in the first instance. But this same product, when you take it across the border, you will make 12 to 17 million naira. Imagine what you will do to stop this. And the only thing that can stop it, just like cocaine, why do cocaine price is cheaper in one place, more expensive in another place?
So with this new regime, yes, will it stop or tame this? Because the price now will be almost at par with what is being sold. The reason why our fuel is very popular outside of the country is because it's probably cheaper.
We're doing 2 things. One of them is that we're saving countries around us the risks of foreign exchange. That means they do not have to go to the banks to get letters of credit to import product into their countries. That's one risk that you have taken. And then the second risk is that because you are doing it for them, and it's cheaper, so why would I go to the international market and buy and bring products into our country? And that means it's a double jeopardy for us. Mm-hmm. And that means it's reasonable to assume that once you remove this arbitrage, once it is not substantial, countries will see that they are better off going to the market to buy themselves because it is now at par with the market. And probably there are distance issues, a lot of arbitrages along the pathway, and obviously the prices will just be mirror what they have in their country, and there will be no need for the smuggling.
So the smuggling will reduce. That's the bottom line.
It may not terminate it, but it will substantially come down, I believe this.
How can we fix this issue of smuggling?
I think we combat it to market because remember that the objective of this country to be the supplier to the West Africans and around us. And once you become a supplier, it becomes market. You can have legitimate business with this country. We're already doing that, by the way. We're engaging 2 or 3 of countries. We're expanding our business into some countries. We're already in Republic of Benin. We're also expanding our business. It's going to be a business.
So you don't need to smuggle?
You don't need to smuggle.
But pipelines have been said to be the best way of transporting this product. What is the integrity of our pipelines?
Our pipelines are in very, very difficult situation. First, aging, and secondly, the acts of vandals. They have practically made it impossible for us to transport petroleum motor spirit in most of our pipelines. Today, we are doing it on the way from Atlas Corp into Satellite. We're going to get back the line into Mosimi, yes. But let me give you an example. For the last 17 years, we were unable to form a liter of product from Wari into Bini. And the reason is very simple. The banders have made it impossible for us to operate this line. At a point, in so many of our lines, we are losing up to 24% of the product that we pump into the line. So there's no other way of doing it than to shut it down because you can't operate it. No one will lose 24% of his product and continue.
And there a modern way to monitor these pipelines?
That's what we're doing.
I'm very sure that
that's what it's not monitoring. The pipelines have aged. We have started a process that is going to replace this pipeline with 2 things. One, different approach. I'm not going to speak about it so that the banders don't take position. And then the second part is that there will be application of technology, and going forward, that will be easy.
The new Dangote refinery,
yes.
How do we transport from Lagos?
By trucks for now. Otherwise, we're already engaging and will supply products into our depots by marine, and it will come into the pipelines.
So let me ask you, Nigerians need to be supported so that they can cope with the shocks of this sharp increase in petrol price. What are your thoughts, or what would you suggest would be a way to help them cope, or to cushion the effect of these removal and this new price regime?
Yeah, 2 things. I'm aware and I'm involved in a process of engagement for immediate relief that can come to Nigerians. I don't want to speak about it at this point, but I know that steps are being taken by government to ensure that some reliefs are provided short-term and immediately, and also some relief that will be provided in the medium term. And all of them will cumulatively come to the effect of having some ability to pay for the petroleum product, also cushion the effect of it on other sectors of our life, and also potentially provide cheap fuel going forward. And that cheap fuel means that, conversion to gas, and of course that's not going to switch in tomorrow, but I know that there are engagements that are going on to see this. There are details that are being worked out. We're engaging all stakeholders, including labor unions, to see how that can be made available to all of Nigerians.
So confirm to us the level of crude oil production as of today.
As today, when you say crude oil production, and it's very good to correct this, in the media you see a number of, we're just doing 1 million barrels of it. That's not correct. The budget of this country is based on the cumulative of our production of crude oil and condensate. Mind you, sometimes this condensate is actually more expensive than the crude oil. So it's the total liquids that we're dealing with. Those total liquid today, in today's production, we're up to 1.6 million barrels for production. We'll have a line of sight. By the end of July, we will hit the 1.8 million, and very potentially we'll hit the 2 million barrels per day by the end of December. This is practical. All things being equal, I'm sure you have heard what Mr. President has said. Our security agencies go and attack oil thieves. And the key issue we have is the challenge of security. Many steps have been taken. We are seeing the result of some of this, but we know that additional layer of intervention will be very, very useful. And the combination of that and return to business by our partners will make sure that these realities come into play.
So, I mean, you said earlier that it's difficult to get the data on consumption, of the daily consumption. But as a CEO of NNPC, you cannot tell Nigerians how much petrol is consumed in Nigeria. But have you consciously made effort in obtaining this data?
There are clear data. I believe that we have over 60 to 70% of all data in the authority. Remember that it is a regulator's role. We have the Nigeria Midstream and that's regulatory authority. It keeps those data. Those records are there. I know that there are a number of interventions that have been put into place and many that are ongoing to ensure that we have end-to-end visibility around petrol as it leaves the depot into fuel station. Mind you, in very many jurisdictions, every fuel station by regulation, I know that the authority is working on this. You will be required to do installations in your facility so that every liter that leaves your fuel station will be known. But unfortunately, this is not the case today. Of course, all our fuel stations, in a majority of the major marketing companies, NNPC, have those installations in their fuel station. We have a line of sight around the sales that we make in all these fuel stations. So you have some level of comfort. But what you don't have is the 100% view of this. Remember that in many places, I pass my level. This small generator that we all call a pass my level. You don't even pass your level because power will come to the people. And that means that everybody will have access to power. Now, the other part of it is that pumps that are used in irrigation across the country, they use PMS. They come to fuel station, they buy in cans and jerry cans. You can't avoid it because that's the way it operates. And therefore, once you have ability to have devices that can see outflow from all fuel stations, then at that point you can say, look, I know what has gone out of every fuel station. When trucks leave depots, they must discharge to fuel station. And then, of course, as they go out of it, you can have some control over it. I think that's where we are going.
So you cannot give us any figure as of today?
Yes, today I know the evacuation from depots because this is constantly published because every truck that leaves every depot is known, the quantity is carried is known.
What can you tell us?
We have an average of up to 66 million that leaves every depot over a period of time.
So the consumption, the real consumption is what you do not know for now.
Because it has two factors.
Okay.
One of them is the element that goes across the body. You don't call that your consumption. Mm-hmm. But that is what arbitrage environment has caused. And of course, the other part of it is that, there could be losses. You can't account for it because you don't have the devices that to do with it. So the combination of this will surely make it impossible for you to tell what is your consumption. Mind you, and I've said this over and over, in a subsidy regime, in an arbitrage environment that you face, wherever it is, you cannot eliminate fraud because it is not possible. I can give you an example. When someone buys product from the bulk from NNPC and is able to take it out of the country and perhaps even potentially can even sell it back to the same NNPC over a period of time, I can tell you in one cargo, you can actually potentially claim back because of the subsidy regime, because somebody is paying for it. You can actually claim back millions of dollars. So with millions of dollars in your hand, you can practically compromise anything. And what this action that we have taken has done, it will bring down the evacuation from the depot. Because even when you bring it back to anyone, you round trip, you go across the border, it is market price. And therefore, there will be no incentive for that. And I believe that 30% of the volume that we are seeing today probably will vanish.
Quickly, I have quite a few questions quickly, and I have just a few minutes more to go on the program. But I spoke with the former Minister of State for Petroleum, Mr. Timothy Silva, who at the time in March 2021 told Channels Television in that interview that I had with him that the Port Harcourt refinery will be ready in 18 months. What is the status of that refinery?
It will come on stream by the end of the year. We did have some supply chain issues, which is a global problem, and I've explained this over and over. There is a crisis in the global marine sector. You know, getting products to location is a huge challenge, and we had some delays in delivery of some of our equipment. But equipments have arrived, work is in progress, and we've delivered this. I think this is the point that the minister made.
So August is when Mr. Aliko Dangote said the Dangote refinery will come on stream fully and we'll start getting product from Dangote refinery.
Remember that we're part owners of the Dangote refinery. We own 20% of this refinery, and we have a line of sight around when this will come into spring, into operations. And Alhaji Dangote has clearly mentioned during the commissioning that by July or August, you will see product coming out of this refinery. The meaning of this is that you will have product supply very close to you.
So if Dangote comes on stream in sometimes July, August, and Port Harcourt refinery comes on stream sometimes at the end of this year, does it mean that we can be sufficient in terms of refining crude oil in Nigeria today? We would not need to import.
Actually, the ambition is to get all our refineries working, get that refinery at optimum, have small-scale intervention that are already ongoing, Azika Refinery, Walter Smith, and so many of them, that the net effect is that this country will probably, and I think it's very good to confidently say that by early next year, this country can be a next exporter of petroleum product.
Will Dangote be selling in Naira or dollars?
He has to buy the crude oil in dollars. You have to price the petroleum motor spirit and all other products if you are coming to domestic market in dollar before you convert it. And therefore, there will be sell, will be a major uptaker of that refinery. There has to be an FX conversation to see how pricing can be made and also how payments can be made. And the answer is already on the ground. Remember, Mr. President has said that there will be a single FX market, and that solves all the problem because there will be more exports from our country, more investors will come in, you will have more direct foreign investment into our country, and you will have net effects in our country to enable us to do things differently. Even if it pays in Naira, it will not matter anymore.
Quickly, so you've not really told me whether with Dangote and Port Harcourt, we will be able to sufficiently produce locally.
No, what I said
meet
is that
our demands.
No, I went beyond that. What I said is that we will become net exporter of petroleum product. That means that we'll have enough for our country and also others can buy from us.
Okay. So on a final note, now, this is a full deregulation we are going into with this policy. So is the NNPC Limited now both regulator and operator?
We're never regulator because by the NNPC, by the Petroleum Industry Act today, is a very, very private company that is involved in the business of making money, paying taxes, paying royalty, ensuring energy security. That's all we do.
I'm imagining why you are the one determining the price.
No, it is this. That's what I told you. It's an internal company document that you saw in the media. We're not determining any price because we are supplying. I brought product, I'm selling it. Others will bring product and they will sell it and they will declare their product.
All right. I have just 10 seconds for you on the program tonight. What would you be telling Nigerians tonight based on the pains that they are feeling and what they should be expecting in the coming days?
First of all, it is very painful that this has to happen because the country can no longer afford this subsidy regime. We do not have the money to pay for it. Will it bring pains? Yes, and these pains will be alleviated. I'm aware that Mr. President is working on this to see how alleviation of these pains is going on. But more than anything, it's going to enable resources come back and be of use to the ordinary people. And as simple as the subnational will now have more resources, the state, the local government will have more money to work better for them. And that value will go to them rather than living in the hands of trading companies.
Mr. Mele Kyari, Group CEO of the NNPC Limited, thank you so much for this explanation and your time tonight. I appreciate it. Well, that's our show for tonight, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Shion Kimale. Bye-bye.
Hello and welcome.